Okay guys, good evening and good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are watching the stream. I'm your host for this evening, as per usual. It is the one and only Hoppers. Yes, that is right, Hoppers is in the commentary box yet again for the Assetto Corsa Competizione League. We are here at the Nürburgring GP circuit this evening. It is going to be pretty much very exciting. Do apologise that we missed about 3 minutes of the race. It's obviously just cost us a bit of time because obviously trying to get into the lobby and things weren't going our way. But hey ho, never mind. It is going to be spectacular, and it probably will be very exciting this evening. You've got Dylan Curtin out in the lead at the moment in the number 20 Bentley, followed by Chris Cleaver. Just bear with while I just took the map down to the bottom. There we go, that's better. Then you have that is Paul from Bath. When he was at Bathurst, he drove really well. I can't remember his surname, but it'll come back to me very shortly. You've got Scott Fenton in 4th place at the moment, so you've got the Irishman in 4th place in his Audi R8. Then you have Rodo in his beautiful Nissan GTR. It's obviously just a plain red GTR, but you know, he likes it like that. Then you have Ben Smith in the Ferrari. Ben always seems to enjoy these races. You've got Fred Coleman just sliding out of shot there. He's in the Lexus, the sole Lexus RCF. I believe he's got a drive-through penalty for speeding at the start of the race, which is going to cost him a bit of time. So Fred Coleman out in 7th place at the moment. Then you've got Jack Evans. Changed the livery for Jack in the McLaren. He was normally, I believe he was in the gold one. He's now gone for sort of a red and gold. Then you've got Dan Bailey hot on his heels in the sort of navy blue and grey, silvery and lime green Bentley there. Then you have Fred Coleman just takes his penalty. You know, Andy White in the Aston Martin. I believe Doug Idol at the moment in the Mercedes, the yellow, white and red Mercedes, just going into turn number 1 at the moment. And you've got Dan Wyatt in his typical usual McLaren paint scheme. So we'll just go what's happening here with Scott Fenton. Of course, Paul battling away. Chris Cleaver's also up the road. So some of the cars are on home turf this evening at the Nürburgring GP circuit. As I say, I do apologise. We missed quite a bit of the action at the start of the race, so I do apologise. It's purely my fault, but you know, I'll put my hands up at the moment. So you got obviously Chris Cleaver trying to chase down Dylan Curtin at the moment, as well as Scott Fenton's trying to chase down Paul at the moment. So anything can happen in this early stage. We've got 45 minutes of the race to go. I'll try and give much people airtime as I can. You've got the likes of Jack Evans there, been hampered by Dan Bailey's Bentley at the moment, going up towards can't even remember the corner for the life of me, but Dan Bailey's obviously trying to gain onto Jack Evans at the moment, so anything can happen here within this race this evening. So we've got, obviously, as I say, you've got Dan Bailey and potentially battling with Jack Evans as he goes into the NGK chicane, which is going to be very interesting. I believe Andy White was also lurking in the background. Yes, he has. He's got to pass Dan Bailey for potentially not 8th place, should I say. And you've got now Andy White's now launching onto the back of Jack Evans at the moment. Scott Fenton has actually got past Paul while we're watching that battle, so he's now going to chase down none other than Chris Cleaver. So I believe Jack Evans is under a lot of threat from Andy White's Aston Martin, followed by Dan Bailey's Bentley. So the battle of the British cars as well, yeah, it's battle of the British cars, because I believe Dan Bailey's now got past Andy White. Yes, he has. Potentially Andy White is now down back in 9th, So the battle of British cars at the moment between the McLaren, the Bentley, as well as the Aston Martin. So yes, it is going to be very interesting. Obviously this is the penultimate, I believe this is the penultimate round of the championship, so it's going to be very interesting to see after we had a week off last week, so it's back to the usual grind for this evening, so it's going to be potentially very interesting. We've got obviously Silver Carter. You just hear Scott Fenton's Audi4 in the background, and you've got obviously Paul trying to gain on, but at the moment Jack Evans at the moment still holding on for dear life, trying to hold off Dan Bailey as well as Andy White in the Aston. So the McLaren versus the Bentley versus the Aston Martin, and then I believe we've got Doug and potentially Dan White. As you can see, Dan White there trying to clip the curve, going out of Advant up into the NGK chicane. It's going to be very interesting. Fred Coleman at the moment struggling in that Lexus after his drive-through penalty. So yes, it is going to be very amazing. You've got Jack Evans trying to get away from Dan Bailey at the moment as Doug Idol pulls alongside Andy White. You can see how much tyre degradation on the track at the moment, but Doug is now got past Andy White going into turn number 1. Yes, he has. So he's made it in front of the Mercedes fans in that grandstand there. So it's going to be potentially very interesting. Really interesting. Dan White also lurking in the background, but Andy White at the moment trying to focus on the next move, trying to get past Doug Idol for potentially 9th place at the moment. Jack Evans and Dan Bailey are having a bit of a battle. Ben Smith's Ferrari, he's just up the road there. You've got Scott Fenton. I believe Scott Fenton's now under threat from Paul there. Yes, he is. He's under threat from Paul there, which is going to be very interesting. Scott's going to have to watch what he's doing in the green and grey, I believe, or is it green and black? I can't remember. In the LDR race. So it should be very interesting. As I say, you've got Paul and Scott Fenton having a bit of a battle, Jack Evans and Dan Bailey having a battle, and we've got Andy White and of course Doug Idol having a bit of a battle. We'll try and focus on some of the battles if we can, which you've got at the moment Scott Fenton and Paul trying to go through the NGK chicane. Whether it's going to be potentially done, we've got coming up to 40 minutes and 25 seconds, so you know it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this evening. It will be one of them, and potentially it could be very exciting, as I say, but at the moment things are looking like they're going to be pretty amazing to see what happens. I believe Jack Evans and Dan Bailey are a bit of a gap between them now. Doug and Andy White are still battling away, but you know it's going to be very interesting. Obviously pit stop galore will happen, and potentially we will see what happens, but I believe Scott Fenton is under a serious amount of pressure at the moment. We'll just go with this battle at the moment between Scott Fenton and Paul there. It's going to be very interesting to see what they can do. Obviously, as I say, I do apologise for the lateness of the stream. It's potentially going to be very interesting outright for the Eldar Sim YouTube. So yeah, if you like what you see here, guys, do give it a like and please do subscribe. But at the moment Paul's giving Scott Fenton a run for his money, going out towards the Schumacher S at the moment. It's going to be very interesting going side by side within each and everyone's rights, but the LDR rates at the moment eking out that gap. But we'll just go back to this battle between Jack Evans and Dan Bailey. They do have a bit of a gap from each other at the moment. Oh, was that Doug into the barrier? Yes, it was. I don't know what happened to Doug, but Doug's managed to go into the barrier on the exit of the hairpin. So Paul's now going to be putting Scott Fenton under so much pressure going into the NGK chicane. It's going to be very interesting. You've got Rodo in his Nissan GTR. So the Nissan GTR at the moment in 5th place. And you've got Jack Evans under a bit of threat from Dan Bailey there in the Bentley. So two British manufacturers, and of course Doug Idol is down in 11th. There he is at the moment in the 28 machine. I believe he had a bit of a moment going out of the hairpin, but you know, his bonnet's flapping a bit. He's going into pit lane to repair that, so fair play. You know, Scott Fenton now in 4th place from Paul's retaken 3rd place from Scott Fenton at the moment, but it's going to be very interesting with 37 and a quarter left. So yes, it's going to be pretty much interesting. As I say, I do apologise for the lateness of the stream, but you know, it's just how it goes, and it's not been really ideal. You know, it's just one of them. But you've potentially got Silver Carter and Dylan up the road from these guys. Dylan already in control of that Bentley, followed by Chris Cleaver. But you've got Scott Fenton at the moment on a mammoth charge, trying to catch up to Paul going through the Senate S. It's going to be very interesting. You've got the LDR right nearly close enough now, potentially trying to get past Paul there for potentially 3rd place at the moment. Scott Fenton's just lurking in the background. You've got obviously Jack Evans and Dan Bailey still having a bit of a battle. I believe Andy White's a bit far back. You got Dan Wyatt also in 10th. Doug Idol still in pit lane at the moment. Fred Coleman, after his drive through, is up into 11th. But at the moment you got this is the main battle we want to see within Paul as well as Scott Fenton. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. As you can imagine, it is going to be one of them. It can be very interesting to see what will happen going into the 36-minute mark, as Doug Idol now unfortunately is a lap down. Hopefully he can pull it back. He's obviously made his compulsory pit stop for the evening, so you know, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. So you've got, I believe, Silver Carter there, Chris Cleaver, trying to get up into Dylan's clutches, but Dylan is quite 6.5 seconds ahead, so it's going to be very interesting. You've got Rodo in his Nissan GTR just in front, behind Scott Fenton and Paul at the moment, so the final spot for the podium is under threat. We've got Jack Evans there, just going to give Jack and Dan Bailey a bit of a watch, because they are potentially Jack's getting chased by Dan Bailey's Bentley, but it is going to be very exciting, as I can tell. It's going to be probably one of them, and it will be pretty much pushing it on for the money. But going back to this battle, I believe Scott Fenton's lost a bit of ground. Yes, he has. But is he going to catch up to Paul? What the strategy? We've got 35 minutes remaining of this race, so there is going to be potentially strategies galore as well as pit stops. But you know, Dylan at the moment leading the way in that Bentley going through the NGK chicane. It's going to be very interesting. The Bentley at the moment has really hot brakes at the front and rear. He's pushing on, he's doing very well. He's 6.4 now from Chris Cleaver. You've got Paul there in the McLaren, trying to escape from Scott Fenton's LDR8. You just see the green machine in the background. So yes, Rodo in the Nissan GTR. Is he going to push on and try and get up to Scott Fenton's gearbox? Ben Smith in the Ferrari. At the moment, the blue, black and yellow Ferrari. It's going to be pretty much interesting to see what happens for that. You've got Jack Evans coming under a bit of threat now from Dan Bailey going through the final turn. But anything can happen, I believe. You know, it's going to be very close with 34 minutes to go. But I can't believe, you know, this has been fantastic. You know, we are sponsored by Idol4 Gaming, so without Darren's sponsorship, we wouldn't be here this evening potentially racing or commentating. So thank you to Darren for the kindness of the sponsorship. We've got Andy White in 9th, Dan White 10th, Fred Coleman 11th, and then Doug Idol 12th. But we'll go back to see what is happening further afield. I believe Paul now has eked out that gap slightly but surely to Scott Fenton. Yes, he has, because Scott Fenton's not even close enough yet. Jack Evans, JWE, going down towards the hairpin here. He's got obviously Dan Bailey's Bentley potentially trying to push on, so the battle of the Brits at the moment, obviously Andy White's 3.1 seconds behind, but you know, you've got the Bentley and McLaren and the Aston Martin, so you've got McLaren sandwiched between obviously Dan Bailey and Andy White, because Dan White is also in that sandwich, but at the moment Jack Evans there in the red. McLaren runs a bit wide going in towards Advan at the moment. It's going to be very much interesting to see what happens, but it will be potentially one of them, and it will be very exciting. But Dan Bailey at the moment has clawed the gap. He's clawed the gap going up to NGK chicane at the moment. Oh, is he going to catch him? He may catch him, you know, he may catch him. But you've got Jack Evans there doing a stellar job at the moment. You've got Silver Carter potentially still second place, trying to chase down Dylan. Paul now has that 5.8 gap from Scott Fenton. Scott Fenton in the Audi R8 is struggling at the moment, so Jack Evans, this is the main battle at the moment between Jack Evans and of course Dan Bailey, as Andy White is in pit lane. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with these guys. As I say, anything can happen. Just bear with me 1 second. But yes, it's going to be absolutely tooth and nail going into potentially what we will see. Oh, as the stream likes to talk back to me. We don't want that. Let me turn it down, that's better. So yeah, as I say, Andy White's in pit lane, Dan Bailey trying to chase after Jack Evans at the moment. Yeah, you've got Paul in third place, followed by Scott Fenton at the moment in the Audi R8. I don't think he's struggling, but I think he's just thinking of a pit strategy, as we see Andy White in 11th place at the moment. Fred Coleman now is 10th after his drive-through penalty, and it will be potentially very interesting to see what happens. To see what goes on. You've got Ben Smith in that Ferrari still trying to pick up potentially some decent results. Dan Bailey trying to push on to Jack Evans, is booted in that McLaren. We'll see if there's any more battles galore, but at the moment Dan White is heading up to the NGK chicane. Yes he is, he's going to be potentially pushing on. So at the moment Fred Coleman 10th. So I believe Scott Fenton is now has a bit more less of a gap. He's like 5.1 from Paul there in third place at the moment. Rodo in the Nissan GTI, you just see a glimpse of the red machine, potentially 2.2 seconds behind. Then you have obviously Jack Evans and Dan Bailey still battling, so this is probably the main battle at the moment. As we can see, potentially we'll be pushing on quite a bit of time, so you know, anything can happen within the race itself. It's going to be probably one of the best races we're going to see this evening, as Dylan there is about to put, I believe he's about to put a lap. Is he going to be putting a lap? Yeah, Andy White's about to get lapped there, which is a bit unfortunate. Silver Carter, Chris Cleaver going into the NGK chicane at the moment. Paul's also heading up there. Scott Fenton at the moment. Ooh, he clips the curb going through Advan with, I believe, that is Rodo4. Rodo rather. Jumping. Yeah, Scott Fenton now jumps into pit lane. He's decided, you know, it's time to potentially jump into pit lane, so Rodo there has got into 4th place. We knew that would happen because with Scott Fenton jumping into pit lane, so it's going to be potentially very interesting to see what happens. So yeah, it's going to be pretty much interesting to see what happens within the lap times, but as I can say, it is going to be very interesting. As you can see, Jack Evans and Dan Bailey going back to this battle between the two of them. At the moment it's going to be one of them, as you can tell, but it will be very interesting to see what happens within obviously Jack Evans and of course Dan Bailey, so it's going to be potentially very much interesting. You've got the Bentley trying to chase down the McLaren, so obviously it's going to be pretty much a McLaren sandwich for Dan Bailey at the moment, because he's got Jack Evans ahead of him and also Dan Wyatt a bit of 17.2 seconds behind, so it's going to be potentially very interesting indeed. It could be, as I say, tooth and nail. You've got Scott Fenton down in 8th place at the moment in an Audi R8. Fred Coleman makes his compulsory pit stop. I believe at the moment Silver Carter is just going back to him at the minute in the yellow and blue Mercedes. He's obviously trying to chase up to potentially Dylan in the Bentley, but at the moment I believe Dylan is about 8.9 seconds. Yes, he is. You've got I believe you've got Dan Bailey now, he's about 0.8, getting onto Jack Evans' gearbox in that beautiful red McLaren, but obviously the navy blue and grey and lime fluorescent lime yellow Bentley's also trying to chase down Jack Evans at the moment. So the 82 Bentley of Dan Bailey essentially pushing on to try and get into the back of Jack Evans at the moment, but I believe Paul in the pink and white and sort of black, yes it is black, the number 13 McLaren at the moment, doing it exceptionally well. He's obviously adapting very well, but at the moment we'll go back to the battle between Jack Evans and of course Dan Bailey, because I believe at the moment it's going to be very close at the moment with 25.5 minutes to go. It will be very much interesting to see what happens. Obviously you've got Jack Evans there in that McLaren pushing on because he doesn't want to, well, you know, he may want Dan Bailey near him, but he probably doesn't want to give up potentially 6th place at the moment. So as I say, anything can happen within this evening's race. So as I say, it's, the temperature is about 40 degrees on track and it's about 31 in the air, so it's probably quite warm in the cockpit of these cars. So you know, it's going to be pretty much interesting. You can just hear Scott Fenton's Audi R8 just there, but I believe Silver Carter and Dylan are making pit stops. So that's allowed Paul up into 1st place at the moment, so that's going to be fantastic for Paul. He probably wants it. So I believe Jack Evans at the moment, I believe Rodo's also jumped into pit lane, so that will push potentially Ben Smith up into potentially 2nd place if he gets his foot down, which he has done in that Ferrari, the number 19 blue, black and yellow Ferrari. Obviously Ben Smith probably want another penalty, not penalty, podium should I say. I nearly couldn't get my words out there, but you know, Ben Smith wants another podium in that Ferrari. He's doing exceptionally well at the moment. He's going to potentially want it. We've got Dylan just jumping out of pit lane, so Dan Bailey's in pit lane now for his compulsory pit stop, so that will leave Dan Wyatt to try and chase down the McLaren of Jack Evans at the moment, so it is going to be very much tooth and nail into the latter part of the race. We've got 23 minutes and 20 seconds to go, but you know, it's going to be very exciting to see what happens. Obviously Ben Smith at the moment in that Ferrari in second place. Dylan rejoins actually in third place. No, he doesn't, because that pushed Jack Evans, so I do apologise. But Jack Evans is now third place at the moment, so I believe Silver Carter and Rodo, as well as Scott Fenton, and of course Andy White, and of course Fred Coleman and Doug Idol will make a compulsory pit stop. So obviously the top four at the moment, there isn't really close battles at the moment, but there will be. But obviously Dan Wyatt in that McLaren at the moment trying to, even though he's not made his compulsory pit stop yet, he will potentially be under threat from Dylan in that Bentley at the moment. It's going to be very much tight and potentially going to be very interesting, as I say, but it will be absolutely fantastic. You've got Dylan and Dan Wyatt. So Dan Wyatt at the moment, Ben Smith jumps into pit lane, so that's going to probably hamper him a bit, so we'll see what happens as Jack Evans does exactly the same. Dylan at the moment in that white, black and red Bentley at the moment. Oh, he makes a move into the final turn. Dan Wyatt's not going to like that, but Dylan's up into, potentially now he will be up into second place. Yes, he will. So it will be very interesting. I believe Silver Carter, Chris Cleaver, will push his way up into fourth. Then you have Scott Fenton. Whoops, he's got past the pit lane because there is two cars in the pit lane. So you got, I believe you've got Ben Smith and of course Jack Evans still potentially in pit lane. So you've got Rodo in the Nissan GTR. His tyres will be up to optimum running temperature now. So the sole Nissan GTR. They have Dan Bailey in the Bentley, followed by Andy White in the Aston Martin. So it's the main Aston Martin, followed by Fred Coleman in the Lexus. So the Lexus RCF there, yep, that's in essentially 11th at the moment. You've got Doug Idol in his beautiful red, white and yellow Mercedes. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I believe Dylan is actually will be potentially first place, but if he can hurry up, because Paul jumps into pit lane at the moment. But as I say, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. We have 20 minutes to go. I believe Paul at the moment is still in pit lane at the moment, but whether he'll get out before Dylan gets into the front straight, but we shall see. Dylan just goes through the NGK chicane at the moment, so it's going to be very much interesting. Scott Fenton at the moment in the Audi R8, potentially pushing on quite a bit. I believe there is a couple of battles now. So you've got Andy White, Jack Evans and Dan Bailey. So you've got the three British marks in the race at the moment. I believe, as we see, Paul just going out of pit lane now, which has allowed Dylan up into the lead of the race, which, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with 19 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. So Dan White jumps into pit lane. So that is put, I believe, Chris Cleaver. Yes, Chris Cleaver is in second place now. Paul will be now third because he's got out in third, rejoined in third place. So that's a good pit stop for that team. Scott Fenton, fifth place in the Audi R8 at the moment. Rodo in the Nissan GTR going to be potentially pushing on for sixth place at the moment. Ben Smith, seventh in that Ferrari. Jack Evans and Dan Bailey, 8th and 9th, followed by Andy White and Fred Coleman and of course Doug Idol. so that's going to be pretty much interesting. Dan Wyatt there in the McLaren was rejoined. He's rejoined in 5th place. What, that was a fantastic stop for them, I believe. No, he's 6th, sorry, I do apologise. The timing hasn't caught up, but at the moment Dylan is leading the race with 18 minutes and 9 seconds to go. But you know, it's going to be very much interesting. Paul there, 3rd place. Scott Fenton 4th. Rodo 5th, followed by Ben Smith, and then obviously Jack Evans and Dan Bailey. Dan Wyatt actually rejoined in 10th place. The timing screen actually didn't update itself, so it's going to be very interesting. Fred Coleman in that Lexus RCF, the single Lexus 23 machine, is in 11th. Doug Idol 4.7 seconds behind in the 28 Mercedes in 12th place at the moment. But I don't think there's major battles, but it will be very much interesting to see what happens within this evening's race. So yeah, if you like what you see here, guys, please do like, comment and subscribe to the Eldar Sim YouTube channel. Obviously, you know, it's going to be very interesting. You've got Dan Bailey in the Bentley at the moment trying to put Jack Evans under extreme pressure as we go down the front straight with less than 17 minutes to go in the race, but anything can happen. As we see, I believe we can just hear the beautiful faint sound of the Nissan GTR, but at the moment Jack is holding off Dan Bailey for potentially 7th place, should I say. But it will be potentially very interesting going into the latter part of this lap. So as you can imagine, it is going to be potentially very much close and potentially personal, but it is going to be potentially fantastic. We'll see what's happening in Silver Carter at the moment. Is he going to be under threat from Paul before the end of the race? Obviously 13 McLaren at the moment. He's trying to chase down none other than Chris Cleaver for potentially 2nd place at the moment. But we've got 16 minutes to go in the race. It's going to be potentially a lot of interest and potentially going to be very much on the money. Jack Evans at the moment is going to be very much trying to be defended from Dan Bailey. For, you know, Dan Bailey wants the 7th place at the moment, but as I say, 15.5 minutes to go. It's going to be very, very, very exciting, as I can tell you that now. But I believe at the moment the Nissan GTR slowly but surely catching up to Scott Fenton. But we've got this battle between Dan Bailey and Jack Evans as Dan Bailey tries to get up close and personal going into the NGK chicane. This is going to be fantastic stuff, but Jack Evans still has that advantage. But Dan Bailey there right on his gearbox now. This could potentially end in tears. Oh, but yes, Dan Bailey goes to one side, Jack Evans to the other. Dan Bailey trying to get switched back into turn number 1. It's going to be pretty much exciting to see what happens, obviously. So it's going to be really, really interesting. But as I say, you've got the likes of Jack Evans and Dan Bailey. Andy White at the moment 9th from Dan Wyatt in 10th. Doug Idol now is in 11th. Fred Coleman must have had a mistake somewhere in that Lexus, but you know, he'll bounce back. So Ben Smith is 6th, followed by Rodo in that Nissan GTR. They have Scott Fenton 4th, Paul in 3rd place, followed by Silver Carter up in 2nd. Dylan is 1st place at the moment in that Bentley. So Jack Evans at the moment, is he trying to eke out that gap from Dan Bailey? Yes, he is, but anything can happen with 13 and 35 seconds to go. So it's going to be potentially very interesting to see what happens within the gap. It will be potentially one of them, and it will be pretty much entertaining end to the race. Obviously, you know, there is quite a lot of action. It's just, at the moment, this is probably the main battle we've got, because the rest are so a bit spread out at the moment, I believe. Looking at the map at the moment, we'll see what's going on further afield. You've got Scott Fenton trying to be chased down by Rodo in the Nissan GTR, but at the moment the GTR is about 3.0 seconds from Scott Fenton at the moment, but Dan Bailey and of course Jack Evans at the moment with 12 minutes and 40 seconds. It's going to be potentially very interesting to see what happens for these guys, but you know, it will be one or another, but you never know what will happen with 12.5 minutes to go. But I'll tell you this, it will be very interesting and exciting. I believe Andy White is 4.2 seconds behind Dan Bailey at the moment, so the Aston Martin is trying to lurk into the background, but at the moment Jack Evans is trying to ever so slightly to get away from Dan Bailey's Bentley at the moment. But this is going to be potentially exciting. Scott Fenton there, you can just hear that Audi R8, the V10 Audi R8 I believe, just trying to escape from Rodo's Nissan GTR. But you got Dan Bailey. This is the probably main battle at the moment of the field, but it's going to be potentially very interesting. Obviously, as I say, Jack Evans now is eking out that gap ever so slightly. He's about 1.3 ahead of Dan Bailey. We'll just try and go through the top runners. We've got Dylan at the moment in first place. He's got Silver Carter, that's 20.1 seconds behind him. Paul's about 3.7 behind Chris Cleaver. Then you've got Scott Fenton, who's about 11.8 from Paul at the moment. Rodo with a 2.5 gap to Scott Fenton, so he's bringing the gap down. It's again Ben Smith, 18.2 seconds from Rodo in the GTR. Then Jack Evans is 9.4 seconds from Ben Smith in that Ferrari. Dan Bailey now has a bit of a 1.7 gap to try and catch up to Jack Evans at the moment. Then you have 5.9 of Andy White in the Aston Martin. I believe Dan Wyatt with his moment earlier on in the pit lane is potentially, it says he's a lap down, but whether that's the case, but we shall see. He's about 23.3 from Andy White there, but we'll see what's going on. I believe Ben Smith at the moment in that Ferrari is still pushing on. Yes, he is, with about 10 minutes to go in this race. So 10 minutes to go. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the remainder of the race. So at the moment Dan Bailey trying to chase down Jack Evans, still in that McLaren. Obviously Dan in the Bentley is doing a fantastic job trying to close the gap to Jack Evans at the moment. As I say, it's going to be potentially very exciting, and one of them. So you've got Doug Idol in 11th, followed by Fred Coleman, so it's going to be very interesting. Mercedes versus the Mercedes there. So it's going to be pretty much interesting. Dan Wyatt's 23.2 behind Andy White in that Aston Martin. But at the moment, as we join this battle, this is going to be very interesting. Rodo's brought the gap to Scott Fenton to 1.2. As you see, Dan Bailey and Jack Evans going through the NGK chicane. Potentially going to be on fire, these two. These two are going to have a battle right to the end with 9 minutes to go. You've got Rodo there in the GTR. You can see how quickly he's caught Scott Fenton up. Scott Fenton must be struggling in that Audi R8. So this is another close battle that we'll keep an eye on for now. But at the moment it will be potentially interesting and battles galore. Obviously, you know, Dan Bailey's actually now brought the gap to that McLaren down to 0.574, so that's going to be very interesting. I can't believe what we've seen. It's been a great evening of racing, and it will be potentially going to be on a massive up climb, and potentially Dan Bailey there will potentially have it all covered. I believe Silver Carter is about 3.0 behind Paul. Well, Paul's 3.0 behind him. But you see Rodo there has brought the gap to 1.3 to Scott Fenton. Paul is about 2.7 ahead of Scott Fenton, I believe. Yes, he is. But it's going to be very interesting. Dan Bailey at the moment it's 0.2, but there is battles. There is a couple of battles now ongoing. But I believe Dan Bailey is trying everything in that Bentley to try and get past the McLaren of Jack Evans at the moment. It's going to be pretty much very exciting, as I can tell you that now, as we've got 7 minutes and 25 seconds to go within the race. It is going to be potentially very interesting to see what happens. Obviously we'll go back towards the front as Rodo got a bit closer to Scott Fenton. It's about 1.3 seconds at the moment, but it's going to be very tight. But Rodo wants the 4th place. Jack Evans under potentially a bit of a gap to Dan Bailey at the moment with 0.7. But it's going to be very interesting with just under 7 minutes to go here at the Nürburgring GP circuit. It's going to be proper interesting to see what happens. Obviously, you know, we'll see what happens. Obviously, Paul there in potentially 3rd place at the moment is 2.9 seconds from Scott Fenton, but I believe Scott Fenton's Audi R8, just see it there with Rodo near enough close behind. Dan Bailey's not 0.6 behind Jack Evans at the moment, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I know we keep flicking between certain drivers, but you know, it's going to be very interesting to see what goes on. If you believe me, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. With 6 minutes to go, it will be potentially going down to the wire. So with 6 minutes to go, Dan Bailey is going to be pushing on to try and get past Jack Evans. So the Bentley's filling up the McLaren's rear view mirror. You know, Jack's probably thinking, what have I got to do to escape you, mate? But you know, it's fantastic at the moment. We'll see what's happening. Scott Fenton, he is about 1 seconds behind, well, in front of Rodo, should I say, for potentially 4th place at the moment. That Nissan GTR slowly but surely is lurking into the background. But it's 0.5 between Jack and of course Dan Bailey for potentially 7th place at the moment. But we've got 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go. It's going to be potentially very exciting stuff, as I say. But it is going to be one of them, I'll tell you now. It will be amazing, but at the moment the gap says it's 0.6, but I don't think it will be. I think it's slowly but surely for Jack Evans with 5 minutes to go. Slowly but surely going to be depleting as Dan Bailey's going to be chasing him down. We'll just go back to the battle between Rodo and Scott Fenton at the moment. It's about 1.4. Scott Fenton is pushing on to potentially get away from that Nissan GTR that's lurking in his mirrors for potentially 5th place. Andy White's jumped into pit lane, whether his tyres have gone off or it's potentially just trying to have another strategy. But at the moment Scott Fenton trying to lurk away from that Nissan GTR, but we'll get to this battle between Dan Bailey and Jack Evans at the moment. It's going to be potentially very interesting with 4 minutes to go very shortly, so anything can happen, as I say. But we'll jump to this battle because I believe now as we just jump, Rodo is very carefully getting up to the back of Scott Fenton in that. It's going to be very much interesting. But Scott Fenton there in 4th place under a lot of extreme pressure from this Nissan GTR going up to the NGK chicane. This is going to be... oh, they have a bit of contact. Oh dear. that was a bit unfortunate. That's going to cost him a bit of ground there. Scott Fenton there, I don't think... Oh, he's got a bit of damage at the back of his Audi R8. So Rodo, I think Rodo misjudged his braking a bit. I'm not too sure, but that was a bit... it just looked like Scott couldn't slow down from what I've just seen on the replay of the stream. Jack Evans under a lot of threat from Dan Bailey now. Hopefully these two can get through the chicane very successfully, but it's going to be potentially very exciting as Dan Bailey's now 0.2 to Jack Evans with 3 minutes to go on the clock. Anything can happen. We'll see. We'll go through the leaderboard in a moment or two, but we will see what is going to happen within this race between Dan Bailey and of course Jack Evans. Dan Bailey at the moment, potentially you can hear the crowd sort of roaring Jack Evans on to potentially hold off Dan Bailey, but at the moment anything can happen, but we'll see. So we've got 2.5 minutes to go within this race. It is going to be potentially very exciting and potentially going to be pretty much amazing. As I say, anything can happen in these races, but at the moment we'll go through the order in a moment or two. But as you can see, Dylan at the moment from Chris Cleaver, from Paul, from Scott Fenton, and then Rodo, and obviously Ben Smith, and of course Jack Evans, Dan Bailey, Dan White, Doug Idol, Fred Coleman and Andy White with 2 minutes to go. This is going to be getting close. This is getting close. Jack Evans at the moment slowly but surely eking out now that advantage from Dan Bailey at the moment. Scott Fenton with that damage on the back of his Audi R8 when he was coming up to this corner with Rodo. I believe Scott just couldn't slow down enough. It's now 3.8 seconds, but you know, it is going to be very exciting with 1.5 minutes to go. But is Jack Evans still under a lot of pressure from Dan Bailey? Yes, he is. This is going to be close. This is going to be close for 7th place. This is going to be potentially a nail-biting finish. Hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to go down to the wire for the last lap of the race. These guys will cross the line to complete the penultimate lap of the race. They will be going on to the final lap. As I say, anything can happen at the moment. Dan Bailey's all over the back almost of Jack Evans. He's 0.3 seconds. This is going to get exciting. It is going to be potentially one of the amazing finishes. You got Doug Idol there in 10th, Dan White 9th, Fred Coleman in 11th, followed by Andy White 12th at the moment. So half. So 30 seconds to go at the moment. You've got, as I say, it's going to be pretty much very interesting. You've got Dylan about to cross the line to start his final lap of the race, or is he going to take victory? Yes, he takes victory. Takes victory from Chris Cleaver. Dan White finishes a lap down. Chris Cleaver there in 2nd place at the moment. Paul's a bit far behind to try and catch him at the moment. Scott Fenton now will finish 4th, unless Rodo catches him and it's a miracle. But at the moment, fair play to Dylan for taking another victory in this Idol4 Gaming Assetto Corsa Competizione League, brought to you by the Eldar Sim Racing. It's going to be very much interesting, but at the moment I believe Dan Bailey's trying to push and push. Going to try and push Jack all the way. Will be potentially certain amazingness as we get towards the latter part of the lap now. Is Dan Bailey going to try and make a move? Scott Fenton and Rodo finish 4th and 5th. Ben Smith will finish 6th. Dan Bailey right up to Jack's gearbox. Oh, this is going to be very exciting. Dan Bailey goes on the outside with Jack Evans. Oh, this is going to be a fight to the finish. Who's going to get in front? Oh, that's quite an amazing battle. That was absolutely amazing. Just give me 1 second, guys. We'll go through the race results very quickly if I can. Looks like I can't. But it finished Dylan from Silver Carter, from Paul from Scott Fenton, Rodo, Ben Smith, and of course Jack Evans, and I believe it was, as I say, but yes, guys, it's a bit